What's happening, guys? I'm Dan. Welcome back. We're diving into more Michigan craft beer, and today it's coming from Founders, and it is the Mortal Bloom Imperial Thorn. So I did review the Mortal Bloom, but that was a hazy IPA, and I believe it was like 6.5%. I don't really remember 100%, but it was under 7%. And today they're still calling this Mortal Bloom, but it's an Imperial Thorn version. So we have 8% ABV, so an Imperial IPA, clocking in at 8%. So definitely not the same beer as the last one we reviewed. I think I did remember that this was going to come out, or some version of this, so maybe they're playing on some sort of series here of Mortal Bloom. I don't really actually know, but Founders is really starting to mix things up and try some new things. So let's get into this one. Again, Imperial IPA, brand new to distribution, and it was canned on 12/10/24. Today is the 9th of January, so it's just under a month fresh, just plowed into distribution this week. So let's get this in the glass, see what it's about. I did really like the Mortal Bloom for being a mass distribution beer, especially Founders. They're huge nowadays. They're just not the same company they once were, but still making pretty darn good beer in retrospect to the rest of the industry, really. So as we pour, it's clearly not hazy per se. It doesn't look like a New England style. It doesn't state that it is. It just says it's an Imperial IPA, so it looks like I don't know. It reminds me of like what a lot of companies are trying to do, trying to mimic like the New Belgium Voodoo Ranger. You know, those big Imperial IPAs, usually they're 9%. This one's 8%, so it's definitely not a hazy beer. This is definitely more on the clear end of the spectrum. Maybe going to be a little bit more mid-American, West Coast. I'm just taking a guess, guys. Don't really know. Don't know anything about it. Didn't do any research about it. So you can see how she looks. She looks pretty darn good, actually. And let's get a nose. I mean, it's quite citrusy. I mean, there's predominantly probably grapefruit here. A little bit of juice, a little bit of pith as well. Kind of a mixture between. A little bit of a floral emergence here coming off of the citrus. A little bit of sweet white bread, a little bit of honey. And honestly, like a little bit of like maybe an alcohol sweetness. So you can tell it's maybe a potentially bigger beer, but it doesn't smell huge. Doing it blindly, I'd say it's some sort of IPA to some caliber, but it doesn't smell too piney or too earthy. Just pretty clean across the board. A little bit of sweetness again. Lots of citrus. A little bit of lemon peel. And there's a little bit of like pine and again more floral dry notes underneath. Not perfumey floral, but just definitely like a strong floral presence here. So let's dive in, guys. Mortal Bloom Imperial Thorn. Let's see what it's about. Let's see what's any good. 8%. Let's see if it's pretty tasty. Cheers, guys. Pretty good, like mass distribution shelfy beer. It's not too overwhelming in really one direction. Like you can tell this has incredible balance. It's sweet for a moment, and then it does dry out, and the bitterness follows suit. Not too big, not too malty. It doesn't really drag you in one particular direction. Again, there's a nice even flow of citrus. There's a nice flow of citrus notes, again, that it kind of emerges into floral, and then a little bit of pine, a little bit of dry pith on the back end, but not a ton. So again, not super malty, not super like West Coasty per se, just like a nice mid-American, slight West Coast kind of feel. Kind of just some sort of hybrid here that's actually quite impressive for being 8%. I don't get a lot of alcohol detection on the back end. A little bit of grass, a little bit of floral again. Maybe some dry cantaloupe. But really a little bit of navel orange, grapefruit, but not too dominating. Again, it's not like it's super wet, oily grapefruit. It's not sticky, piney. It's not super crazy bitter. It's only 45 IBUs, so that makes sense. It's a really nice dry beer on the back end. Again, some sort of like hybrid. I mean, not really East Coast, not West Coast per se. and really sort of some sort of mid-American hybrid here. So is this good? I do think so. I think some people would be underwhelmed by this at 8%. Like, I feel like some people want crazy flavors, again, like those Voodoo Rangers. Those come across really artificial to me. I don't like the weird juices. I don't like the weird extracts they use. This comes across really nice, dry beer that does offer a lot of flavor, but it doesn't tire your palate out. So drinkability on this is outstanding. But again, is somebody going to get bored? I don't know. I think there's a nice subtle maltiness to this beer, but it's not too saturating on the palate, right? It just adds to incredible drinkability here. Not too much pith, not too much pine, not too much bitterness, and not any of those fake, crazy juices or artificial extracts. I'm sticking with it. Quite a bit of floral. Again, not too perfumey, where it comes across like it's disgustingly, I don't know, Centennial. That could be in here for sure. But again, you're getting the citrus kind of coming in first. And then it kind of plays into the malt bill here, which is very subtle. It's not too dominant. A little bit of white bread, a little bit of honey, right? Maybe a little bit of like lemon marmalade, but it's not sweet. This beer is not sweet. It finishes very dry and easy. And again, for it to be so soft on the back end at 8% is very outstanding here. It's just not super complex, but it's a very well done 8% Imperial IPA. Maybe a little too low for some. Some people want to see that 9%. I think 8% is a fantastic compromise here for Imperial. I think it just adds to incredible drinkability. And again, it sways back to lighter beers, right? Not that this is light, but if you like Two Hearted, right? This is like almost easier to drink than Two Hearted. It doesn't feel as heavy. And the alcohol is very not noticeable compared to being, 1% higher than Two Hearted. So I'm just using that as an example. I like this beer. I think some might be underwhelmed, but I'm happy that this 8% beer drinks like the way it does, and I think it has great flavor for being what it is. Mass distribution, you're going to see it all over the place, so great value here. I don't actually remember the price of this. I'm not going to lie, so I guess that does matter, but I bet you it's a pretty good price since Founders is so large nowadays. Like, I'd be shocked if this is more than like $13.99. I'm just taking a stab at it. I don't know. But again, really good value here, I imagine, at 8%, and it's going down like butter. It's good, man. It's a good beer. Some people, maybe not enough for you. It's good for me. I like this beer, and it's drinking well. You don't want it to warm up too much. I'm going to go with a 3.99 out of 5. I think it's just right below, like, awesome. And it's not too complex. So, again, maybe a little bit boring, but drinkability off the charts. Not too cloyingly sweet. Not too bitter. Not too hoppy. Yeah, that's where I'm sitting, guys. 3.99 out of 5. I think this is good for what it is. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're going to pour a beer, pour Michigan beer, guys.